not just enemas as a whole, but the influence on the organs, because obviously yoga is really big for that, really powerful for engaging and having an amazing relationship. That's what I'm experiencing with my organs, literally. Like, so it must be quite interesting as well. So enemas in yoga, is there a marriage there for you with them?
I think they marry well together, mate, to be honest with you. Perfect, not just for colon health, but every single organ, like you said, of the body. Let's go there. Let's talk about deep breathing, man. It's ultimate deep breathing session when we stretch those muscles, oxygenate those muscles. You know, yoga's, if you want to simplify a bit, yoga's like inversions, twists, forward bends and back bends. And all these things, the inversions we're doing when with the enemas, right, a little bit with the gut. But all these things detox the organs, detox the colon. They make the peristalsis, the gut and the fiber move, stuff out the bowels, eliminates all these channels, it clears out the liver, bro, the lungs, and all this stuff. So and I do it daily. I only have experienced amazing benefits from yoga, and it's just one of those things that I can't live without. I'm sure you experience this. Once you start doing them, you realize how amazing they are, how the benefits of when you finish that session, like, it's crazy powerful. And to stack enemas with yogas, with dry fasting, with all these protocols, with urine, fresh, aged, sunlight, sun gazing, grounding, fasting, general exercise, you combine all of these, and then you ain't going to get these, you know, as well. Number 2 cancer I think in the world is colon cancer. It's right up there, colon cancer. So how do we get rid of colon cancer? Let's tackle the root cause. Let's do an enema. That's it. You know, the colon cancer doesn't need to exist. It's just because the colon has not been looked after specifically. And the best way to look after the enema is to go direct to the source. Where it's closest to the colon? The rectum. So pop it in there and start cleaning out. And then you won't get these cancers. Then you won't need to worry about like colon cancer, you know, at 30, 40 and all these shocking ages. You know? Yeah,
totally. I mean, as a teacher that I follow, a lot of people are probably aware of, quite a modern teacher, Savon Beaumont, quite an interesting character, and you know, he really pushes like first protocols for anybody, really, like whether you want to start upgrading yourself spiritually or whatever it may be. You know, he really emphasizes, and it makes 100% total sense in my brain, to clean your filters out. He says, clean your filters out, start vibrating higher, and start experiencing things on a different frequency. You need to clean your backside out, clean your body out, and start from there. You know, and that's, I think, a great place for us to all. It's quite incredible. You know, I know your journey's only been 2 years, sort of, on the health side of things. I've been an athlete for quite a long time, but I've always been quite sporty since I was young. And I just faded out of it, done a bit of gym work, etc. But, you know, without going off track too much here, I feel that the experiences I'm having with what I'm learning at the moment is train of thoughts going there, to be honest. So I'm going to hold that one. So apologies for that. So
right. Can I talk something about quickly? Just on the colon. Another reason that it makes me stick with it, so it's going to help people. This is a fact. Do you know what, bro? It's not even about the colon, because when you put it up an enema up the bum, you're also cleansing the liver. Did you know that? Aware of this?
Right. Okay.
Are you aware?
No.
You're literally, and I'll tell you why. You're literally cleansing the liver, because if you take a map, if you go on Google and Google images the colon, what you'll find is outside of the colon, on the inner side, there's little purple roots from every angle of the colon that lead to they're called the hepatic portal veins. They lead all to the liver to take deoxygenated blood. But when you put the medicine up the rectum, loads of that isn't just staying in the colon, it's going straight to the liver. And the liver is probably one of the most important organs of the body for detoxification. If you believe Dr. Jubb, he says the lungs is number 1 and liver is number 2. So when we do the animal work, we are detoxing the liver like a motherfucker, especially if we do aged urine. We get aged urine in the liver. This for me is almost up there with Maritz's liver flush. You heard these liver flushes that people do, whether it's apple juice,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
To drink apple juice, they'll push out loads of stones. Well, if you don't want to do a liver flush, please do your aged urine enemas, or enemas generally. Any enema, get straight into the liver and detoxifies that organ. And I can tell it's happening to me. I can tell it. I can feel it every time. It's going straight to your liver, and that's a major reason why we should do it. It's not just the colon; it's the liver as well, bro. So that's my reason to continue, because I love my body so much, right? The colon, the liver. It's not just when we do these things, by the way, it's not just one thing we're fixing, although it seems like it. It's always, the body's all connected, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, totally.
if you want to go deeper, bro, there's reflexology points in the colon for every single organ of the body.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're putting up the colon, we're not really just curing that bit. The reflex points, for example, the blood sugar balance reflex points are in the rectum. The kidney ones are the transverse, all over the place. We're just healing the whole body when we do these. Any protocol heals the whole body, but especially enemas. They really are that powerful.
Yeah, definitely. And again, now that train of thought is slightly there again. The whole cleaning your filters out. It is plural, literally. So yeah, totally right. Obviously, it's not just the colon on the basis of enema; it's the liver as well. And I've got loads to learn when it comes to the body, and it's the terminology, it's the names that kind of baffle me, because it's all like it's on the same balance as legalese and all that shit. There's all funny words that just kind of don't really need to be there. But I'm getting closer and closer to that sort of stuff. And I've got some really very, very interesting books to help with that as well. But yeah, maybe there's some books or some information that you could possibly share for us, or anybody who's interested in colons, or maybe you want to share with people that they could
Yeah, bro.
on.
I mean, if you want to do aged urine enemas, I recommend my books. I've never seen a urine ferry book talk about aged urine enemas, so I recommend you buy my book. But outside my book, there's Dr. Norman Walker has got a book called Colon Health. It's released in the 70s. Now, it's an old one, but if you go on Amazon and buy a used copy, it's just a couple of dollars, a couple of pounds, and get a cheap copy. And that's a really powerful book from a man that apparently lived to 104 years old, by the way. And the reason why he lived so long, he put it down to, was because he did enemas and colonics. Oh, by the way, we haven't even touched base with colonics. We'll touch base if you want to in a second with that.
Yeah,
anyway, the enemas,
sure.
the enemas he's been doing, he recommends it in that book. He'll tell you why. All the stuff I've been talking about, the reflexology points, the people he's been curing from diseases with just doing enemas daily and all that stuff. So that's absolute brilliant book. But there's another one, Dr. Bernard Jensen. Highly recommend this guy. He's got 2 books on colon. One's called Tissue Cleansing System, Bowel Cleansing. And both books I used to have, and I need to rebuy. But I remember reading them, and they are the ones that got me into the importance of why we need to do enemas. And in that book, they talk about little pockets of holes called diverticuli or something, where the colon is no longer healthy and doesn't look like an anatomical map. It looks a bit, you know what it looks like, bro? These unhealthy colons people have got. It doesn't look like a normal shape in a picture. It looks it's either really thin or too fat, and it's got holes in it. And
Right.
that book, Bernard Jensen talks about the unhealthiness of the colon, and how even 100 years ago, the colon was a disaster for people. Arnold Ehret is another one. There's 3 people there. Another one,
Yeah.
Arnold Ehret, talking about it,
Yeah.
how unhealthy the colon was 100 years ago. So we've only got worse in our diets and our unhealthiness. So can you imagine, like, wow, what my, yours, and unhealthy people's colons look like nowadays? If I could, do you know what, bro? It'd be interesting to take an X-ray of our colons right now, of normal people's that've got diseases, of just average people that haven't, and mine and yours. I would love to see an X-ray of what our colons look like, because I think if you could, then everybody would be doing enemas on the planet right now.
Totally.
And they'd be
Totally.
teaching schools, right?
Totally. Definitely, because everybody's living from an external point of view, unfortunately. So the realization that actually everything's internal and we are creating.
You can't see either, bro. People can't feel, they can't see. But the thing is, they feel crap because their colon's full of shit, but they don't realize that because they're living that for such a long period of time. It's like the boiling frog. You get used to living at low frequency vibration because your colon's full of crap. But if they only knew that they could clean their colon up and had a feeling of vibration higher because they're cleaning it, they'd do it. But That's why we got to keep making these videos, bro, talking about this stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. And yeah, colonics. Before we
Yep.
offer that, Mark, please continue with that.
Yep.
This is something that I have to learn a little bit more of myself. So,
Right. I'm going to talk from theory because I've only ever done one colonic in my life. However, this what I'm saying is correct. Colonics, just like enemas, do not harm the body. What it is it's not just 1 liter up your bum in one go. A colonic is 40 liters of. They'll put purified water, which I don't believe is distilled, but I still think there's a lot of benefits. For my one, I definitely say there's benefits to putting 40 liters of purified water up your bum in a machine, and that machine puts it up there, and it hits all angles of the colon, just like the enema, but it's way more powerful because you're putting way more medicine in, way more medicine. And this, Dr. Norman Walker talks about in his book. He said that to be young, you had to do it 3 or 4 times a year. I recommend people do it as much as possible. You can't. It's expensive. You could argue it's £40 in the UK, £50, £60, but it's one protocol. You don't just want to be doing enemas. If you can afford it. It's worth spending money on doing enemas and colonic at least once a year. At least once a year. I'm going to start getting to them. I just want to say one thing as well. People say there's another myth, I believe, with urine enemas clearing out the good bacteria. They'll say it clears out the good bacteria, these enemas. I don't think that's true. Aged urine is a
sorry, just to jump in on that one. Is that with a specific type of liquid being used there, or is that just in general?
People say generally, people say coffee enemas and urine enemas and distilled water. People will say that as well, because distilled water, they say, is dead water. But no, distilled water does not pull out the bad shit. It only pulls out the good shit. There's no bad bacteria getting pulled out. Good bacteria getting pulled out with especially the aged urine, because aged urine feeds good bacteria. So why is it going to feed good bacteria and pull it out at the same time? So this is, I believe personally, a myth that stops people from doing enemas. You know, that it pulls out the good bacteria. But do you know what, bro? As well, even if it's true, and I'm not perfect, I might be wrong here. I'll tell you something. Even if it's true, it pulls out the good bacteria. The benefits far outweigh that small negative. That's a fact from my own personal experience.
Well, you just stole the words out of my mouth. I mean, for me, the place I'm at with my own health and well-being is to be my own experiment, essentially. Like, I'm done, I'm tired, waiting, and there's only a certain amount. Like, reading is so important, and I came into reading late. But reading is so important. I think it's fantastic. It's a really great way to learn other people's ideas, protocols, practices, etc., and information, and take that on board. And then you get the opportunity to disregard stuff or to take stuff on board. But ultimately, you have to be the architect. You have to be. You have to test. You have to try, and by doing it with yourself, it's the only way you're going to be able to master or even have an inkling of whether things work or don't work, or how they work, or and then to be able to pass on information. That's what we're all about here, is to try and help others as well, is to be able to pass on helpful information so people can hopefully come on the road to being as well. So yeah.
The best thing about this is, bro, the fact is that me and you are just ordinary people. I've not even had a proper education. I failed university twice. So technically, according to the system, I'm a very stupid man. However, one thing that I've learned in life is that I can make myself smart and wise by using my body as a laboratory to experiment with the most powerful health protocols on the world. And I can tell you now, enemas is one of the most powerful health protocols in the world. Urine therapy, as you know, and aged urine is the most powerful. And if you combine aged urine with an enema, you've just got the ultimate colon and liver cleanse ever. You just outsmarted every single doctor that spent 5 years of his life in medical education and gets paid £200,000 a year. £200,000 a year, and me and you are just like on peanuts, right? We're struggling to try and make our own way in this world, and yet, sincerely in our heart, we are more knowledgeable and wiser than a doctor just by using our bodies as the lab and spreading that knowledge to other people. That's all we're about, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And it's shared that there is an awakening happening, and yeah, I agree with that. So be it. But definitely in the medical industry, if you want to call it that, our doctors and our nurses, you know, they're not to be hated or anything like that at all. But I do generally feel sorry for them because what they're being taught, because it's just a job, like, and whether they do care about their work or not, I hope that they do. It's just so unfortunate that they're being sort of misled, you know, and the misinformation. You know, I'm not one to I shared this. I'm not one to sort of divert, but it's quite clear that there's so much information out there. There should be a platform. There should be a balance of information that should be readily available for everybody. It seems to be perfectly clouded in all areas. So, you know, I'm 100% with you. Enemas, and there's something about our own waters, but we'll leave that for another story, for another chat show. It seems to be quite an interesting story to for a lot of people. Not just an interesting story, but something that should be looked at in a little bit more depth, you know, and with our open-mindedness. But yeah, I'm trying to think if I can add anything else more to the Enemas here. I think you've covered so much there, and the Colonics is very interesting. I've got a little bit here on Colonics that
yeah, talk about the Colonics, man. Talk about the history of is there a history to it? Is there a history to the Colonic? Was this a new invention?
No, I've got a little bit here. It says uses history and complications from Colonics. So I'm trying to find the history. There's a little bit here as to why people get Colonics. So people who get Colonics typically say they do it for the following reasons. So that's to remove accumulated waste from the colon, to help prevent constipation, and to improve overall health. That should be a detail to improve overall health. So it says quite a lot there. And it is another form of alternative medicine. And they say here, due to lack of evidence, Colonics are not known to improve health and wellness by most. They just had to add that bit in. You know what I mean? By most conventional medical professionals. Same, I just mean by the cloudiness of just you sort of people
give them a bit of information and then take it away from them. Tell them don't trust it. You know, some half truths and holy shit.
It's a bit of a shame though. Yeah. You know, the digital world today, the information is so much of it, and yet it seems to be diluted so much, isn't it? But yeah, history. Here we go. So, history of colonics. I'll just read it out and we'll just roll with it. This is interesting. This is interesting. One of the earliest proponents of colonics and the auto-intoxication theory was John Harvey Kellogg, MD, founder of the Kellogg Cereal Company. Many credit Kellogg for the popularity of colonics among conventional physicians from the early 1900s to the 1940s. Kellogg frequently lectured on colon therapy and recommended colonics for many conditions such as depression and arthritis. That's interesting.
Yeah.
As laxatives grew in popularity, colonics became less popular. There we go. So that kind of makes sense there, really, doesn't it? You touch base on that a little bit. Also, the lack of published evidence on the benefits of colonics contributed to its decline. Today, some alternative practitioners continue to recommend colonics, and you shared that Russia does.
Yeah, Russia still does the enemas, yeah.
The enemas, yeah. So that's quite interesting. I think everybody knows who was probably
Mr. Kellogg is.
Mr. Kellogg's, yeah, and had a bowl of Kellogg's cornflakes in their time.
See, I've heard some controversy about him, but some bad things. But actually, what if he's recommended the colonics? I didn't know that. Then that he's right, 100%. That is powerful. And that's how old is that? 1800s. What year was he?
That was in the early 1900s to 1940s. So it was spreading the word for quite a long time.
It's been around a lot.
Quite interesting. I'd have to look into him a little bit more about like his history, to go from cereals to, well, not from.
I think he had a sanatorium. He had health sanatoriums at some point in his life. He used to have people like a spa, but he used to get healthy, and he used to give them his meal plan, his diets, and obviously, I didn't know about the colonics. He must have been given in his spa, his health sanatorium. He must have been given colonics as well. He was a health guy, you know. That's the thing with Dr. Kellogg.
Yeah.
Many people don't know.
No, I didn't. So that's quite interesting. It's such a shame that he's doing that cereal. Well, there you go. Well, he's not like it. Complications, though. People with certain conditions such as diverticular disease, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, severe hemorrhoids, blood vessel disease, congestive heart failure, heart disease, severe anemia, abdominal hernia, gastrointestinal cancer, recent colon surgery, and intestinal tumours are among those who should not have a colonic.
Right. Do you know what's funny about that, bro? Those are the people that need it the most. Those are the people that need it the most.
I was reading it. That's quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, come on. Right. So I'm assuming
they're saying if only if you're really healthy, you can have it. No, if you're really unhealthy, you need it more, because that's going to heal you up from those diseases that you just named. Every single one of them. It's fear mongering. It's fear mongering. It really is. I disagree.
I'm kind of with you on that, unfortunately, and there's not enough information on this site. This is verywellhealth.com. If anyone wants to look at this, verywellhealth.com. There's not enough information on it, to be honest. I'd have to go into Google Scholar. That's usually quite good to sort of go through and check a little bit more on that. But it says something about pregnant women as well to not have it. I'm not sure about that.
Well, maybe that's true. Maybe that one's true.
Yeah. As to stimulate uterine contractions, probably. Side effects may include nausea and fatigue after the session. May last a few hours. Complications. Okay. And yeah, that's another thing actually. It's talk about the electrolytes, and that's something that I should have touched base on earlier. And I do have a specific. People use fruits, increase their electrolytes. I think that's great. I'm quite partial to a specific ionic elements that I find fantastic, which is actually through a specific company, Platinum Health Europe. It's really quite powerful stuff. Is there anything that you would suggest to, because obviously the leaching of electrolytes from doing enemas and getting rid of all that stuff, waste, how do you boost the body up to increase the electrolytes? Is there anything in particular that you use there, or do you find that
worry about it too much? But that's why I don't just distilled water, because distilled water, if you might believe, I don't believe it, but some people do believe it, it does remove that stuff, the distilled water. But the aged urine to me puts it all back in. It's probiotic, it's probiotic, it feeds the good bacteria. So I'm sure that stuff works, but because I'm not exactly loaded with money right now, I'm trying to do the best with a very poor situation. I stick with what is cheap and works, and when I do get more money, I will experiment with all the things that you're experimenting with and making. And hydrogen water, I love your experiment, by the way, hydrogen water. All these things I want to get to at some point. Also, another thing, salt water. I'm going to go to the sea in a couple of weeks and get some salt water and start adding salt water to my distilled water. I want to see if salt water from the sea is going to have a beneficial or a negative effect on me. So I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about salt. I don't know where I stand on it.
Salt is important. Specific type of salts. Obviously, we know that there's 12 specific body salts in the body. But Himalayan rock salt, you can't compare it, or Celtic salt. It's very good salt to have in the system, in your body, to add to your food. Even if I don't eat it as well, this is slightly going off topic. I might try that actually, funny enough, in an enema. But even if I don't use it on my food, I tend to use it from time to time if I'm not using, say, my own waters or something else in the shower. I'll use Himalayan rock salt to implement on my skin as well. So I'm taking it in other ways always. So Himalayan rock salt, I would definitely recommend that.
Recommend it. Definitely. So seawater? Do you think I think seawater must be good then. My bias is, to be honest with you.
I would love to say yes, but I guess it depends where you get it from and what else is in the waters. I mean, have you got your TDS meter and stuff like that? You can test.
I do. I think it's going to load up with quite high amount. Yes, that one.
That'd be quite interesting to check out. But I'll be interested to know that as well. I mean, it'd be a bit pointless, I guess, getting seawater and distilling it, wouldn't it? It wouldn't really be pointless, the exercise.
Yeah. Well, I've got to try these things. I don't know nothing, to be honest with you, until I prove myself wrong or right. And then even then, sometimes I recognise that I might be wrong as well. So because my body might be telling me it's good for me, and then it's not. So it's so complicated. I mean, it's simple, but it's also complicated to figure out I know why there's so confusion with salt is not good, salt is bad, and all these kinds of
It's
spring water.
it's the man-made salt, isn't it? That's the man-made refined crap.
That's where we agree, right? That's where everyone agrees. That's the
Yeah.
neutral ground where we should all agree on. And man-made salt is an absolute disaster for the human body.
And Himalayan rock salt and many other, there's some decent salts out there, Celtic salts and stuff. You'll find that they usually got 80 plus minerals. They're souped up with minerals. So to add them into diet, even if you don't like eating salt that much, you need to get rid of that mindset personally, because that's not the same type of salt at all. But if you don't want to eat it, you can definitely add it to your bath, for example, and soak yourself in it with some magnesium, for example, so that's going into your system, or you can get it in that way. And
what do you think about urine? Urine's got salt in it, right? They say. I think urine's got some salt in it. The aged urine, maybe we're putting some salt in with the aged urine up the bum anyway. Have we thought of that? Fresh urine's getting salt in there? I don't know.
You're going somewhere with this, and I'm going to be experimenting myself, I guess. So it is what it is. But yeah, definitely. Wow. Well, that's and Colonics as well. Incredible. I've got some.
I appreciate this, bro, because I forgot myself about Colonics, because I need to start saving my money. I need to prioritize this year to do at least 2. So that's on my mind now, 100%. Since I'm doing the enemas, I'm going to start stepping up my colon health even more. I'm going to go pay money. I think it's worth investment for everybody to go and get a colonic. Like, even if they don't do enemas, do a colonic at least once a year. That will change your life, change your colon health. That's 40 liters of water getting in there. That's a lot. And you spend like half an hour. It's a lot. And it pumps in. You can feel it, bro. You can feel it go in you can feel it, the force of it going all the way around the colon, clean it up. And you can see the tube, all the shit coming out. You can literally, they let you see the see-through tube, all that stuff coming out your colon. It's crazy.
It just, just before we finish up here, I'll read a little bit about how what is a typical colonic like.
Yeah.
And it's saying, after completing a health history form and consulting with the colon hydrotherapist, the client is asked to change into the colon therapist inserts a disposable speculum into the anus. Speculum is connected to a long disposable plastic hose. I think we know where we're going with that. But the client typically feels some discomfort in the abdomen during the therapy. The colon therapist may apply light massage to this goes to yoga again to me. It applies light massage to the client's abdominal area to facilitate the process. And I've noticed doing yoga and exercise in these areas and actually implementing these sort of practices, for me, I feel the difference. I feel like it's helping a lot more personally.
Oh, bro, just a quick one as well. You know what they tell it? Spinal twists, the twisting yoga section. They call that a mini colonic. They call that a mini colonic, by the way. When you twist the body, you're doing a mini colonic. So you're doing enemas and colonics when you twist. That's a really important protocol in yoga we should all do. Twisting the body, even just a basic twist. You don't need to do yoga. Just twist your body like this. Is very powerful.
Yeah, it's one when you put your hands behind your back like that.
That stuff.
There's all sorts, and you just go all the way around and you just feel it. And doing enemas with it makes a big difference. And definitely, I've noticed it on doing breathing exercises as well. Like, you're on a different level. It feels completely different. Quite interesting stuff. But, wow. There you have it. Mr. Harry Matadeen, the topic on Enemas, Colonics. Your book, do you want to share that one more time with us, please?
Yeah, bro. So my book, you type in on Amazon, Aged Urine, you'll find it. Aged Urine Discovery of the Century was a bit of a clickbait title, I'm not going to lie. But you as well as I know that actually, is this an exaggeration? No, it's a pretty powerful medicine. So yeah, it's $11.50. So not a cheap book, but it's got good information on it. I'll tell you that. And it's the first of many, because I'm hoping in the future, there's going to be loads of these books, loads of the medicine, and it's going to become normal. So me and you are part of the guards of the future. We're playing the long game. We're playing as the legends of today, who are going to be looked up as the heroes of tomorrow, who are doing it when everyone else was telling us it was a waste product. And that's what
Well, Harry, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for sharing this space with us. And thank you everyone for taking the time to watch this as well when it goes live. So,
cheers, guys.
Harry Matadeen, it's been amazing. Thank you very much. All the best, and for sure we'll be catching up.
Cheers, Zeki. Thanks for having me, and carry on with the great work you're doing, mate. And we'll meet up soon. So cheers,
Sure,
brother.
definitely.